We all doing? How we doing? Welcome back to another MJS live. Still not sure if I'm going to call it that long term here, but it is what it is for right now. Obviously, did our little rebrand here last week or the week before, so just took out my middle name, but I still like MJS. I still like being called that. So yeah, working on it. Just got to do a little quick check here. Let me know if you're here, if you can hear me, if you can see me. Stephen Vaughn, how you doing? Kilkenny, like that. Nice, nice. How's the audio, video, everything good there? See and hear. Still paranoid. Like to just double check. Yeah, we're good. I don't know why I check every single time because obviously it seems like it's working. But anyway, welcome. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. I appreciate it. All right, so we'll give people some time to roll in here, but I'm going to give you kind of the high level. There's a lot of updates that I want to give. Just crazy last week, and kind of the week before, and all that sort of stuff. So I want to give you guys some updates if you missed anything, because I think there's a lot of value here that I've kind of been like pseudo a part of, and I want to make sure that you guys, I don't know, just continue to share with you guys. And the big topic for me specifically that's going on, and again, we can obviously answer questions and everything like that. But the one big thing that I'm personally like kind of going through, but I think it affects all of us. And I feel like in one way, I'm definitely not the first person to go through this, but I'm definitely one of like the younger, newer people I feel like in the community that is talking about this stuff. Cause it seems like everybody else is just a little bit older than me. And like I'll talk about it in a second, but I was on the WP Minute with Matt Medeiros yesterday, and there's just so much stuff going on. So it's like I'm learning all these things, and other people are like, "Oh yeah, that's like we learned that," or like it's a very interesting situation. I'm talking about more of like the core of WordPress from the community aspect, and like the name of this, like the bureaucratic apparatus. It's very interesting. I'm going to give you the high level because I still don't know exactly what's going on, but it's kind of interesting to see here. So there's one other thing I want to make sure that I have pulled up if I can get it. It is the stats on like, I don't know if I'll be able to grab it right now. There we go. Oh, there's another one. There's a 2023 one. That's even better. Perfect. Okay, cool. All right. So we got a lot of stuff here. We can cover anything. Again, if you say hello, tell me where you're from, if you're in the chat and everything like that. If you have any questions throughout, we can definitely sprinkle those in and talk about them. But the main things that I want to talk about kind of are some updates, and we can kind of just go from there. What do you say? Hopefully, too, last week as I go through some of these updates here on the channel. Last week we were live, but we were with Derek over at Conversion Bridge. So hopefully you guys got a chance to check that out. If you didn't, I will throw a link in the description here. If I can get that, there we go. And so that was a really good episode. I really enjoyed having Derek on. Plugin's amazing. If you haven't looked at Conversion Bridge, you have to check out that video. He kind of goes through everything, shows how easy it is. I've yet to implement it for myself, but I have license, and I'm definitely going to look into that for myself and for client projects as I continue to build here. Working on a lot of different things, so just trying to do what I can. Some other things as I go back to the homepage here, the channel. Put out some new videos. We'll talk about that in a second. I have this little section down here on the main page for like guest appearances. I thought that was kind of cool. It's just like a little playlist on the other channels that I've been on, which is WP Minute and Kevin Geary's. I don't know if you guys saw this Kevin Geary video where I was the guinea pig on ACSS. That was fun. He kind of taught me a bunch of really good workflow stuff, and it seems like the audience really liked it. So I don't know if we'll be doing more of those or not, but I was just extremely appreciative to Kevin for having me on there. So that was a great time. And then me and Matt have been doing some episodes, some live stuff, and I think there is going to be a podcast episode that we filmed about a month or so ago coming out soon on WP Minute. WP Minute's fantastic. Matt does such a good job, and he is so passionate about this stuff. So I definitely want you guys, if you haven't heard of him yet, and you're interested in stuff, I'm dropping a ton of links in here, but you got to go check out the WP Minute because again, it's just one of those organizations where like he puts everything together. He's got like I think a small team of like other contributors and stuff. But I'm in the Slack channel. If you go to the link that I just put in there, WP Minute, you can click join membership. You can go in here and you can get just like a small donation. You can get in the Slack group, which is something that's helped me so far because there's a lot of people in there that are just talking about different WordPress things and all that sort of stuff. And then Matt is a big part of my trajectory so far as just understanding about WordPress, which we'll chat about in a second, because he was the one that told me to get in the WordPress Slack group, which is eye-opening to say the least. So we'll talk about that in a second. Only other things that we're doing here, more portal videos, guys. I know I'm not pushing them out as fast as everyone would like, understand. But it takes time. It takes time to build it. And then, you know, I got a couple comments and things like that. And I made this video here yesterday that it's addressing a specific question that I got from a subscriber, but it's much more meta than that. Like I get these questions from viewers and then I have thoughts on like the you know, whether they're in comment or email form or whatever. And then I have thoughts as I kind of read them back. And a lot of times the questions just aren't simple. And in that one, I was trying to like do some educating, but at the same time, there's just there's a bottleneck there and I can't explain it all in text. So I'm working on different ways to help even more. One of the ways is just simply like private consulting, which can be booked right now. If you just go to like the website and you go to, you know, book a consulting call with me. So you can do that. If that's, you know, not in the budget or you don't want to do that, it's totally fine. I'm not going to stop making free content on YouTube. I'm not going to stop like answering comments and everything like that, but that's an option just for specific personalized stuff there. Also need to build out the website more and everything like that. So there's gonna be a ton more content there as I continue to grow that. But that's one option. The other option that I'm toying with, and if you guys are here live or watching on replay, I would love to have like just some feedback on this. I definitely want to build some semblance of a community because I think that would be really valuable. It's something that I've always wanted to do. Other people are doing it, having success, and I just think that if you just continue to do that, that's something that I think could be really valuable. So that's something that I'm really passionate about, really want to do. I don't want to necessarily rush into that, but it's something that's constantly on my radar. I've talked about it, I think, a little bit before. And just something like either my big three right now that I'm considering would be either Slack, which I don't really want to do Slack, or School or Circle. So those are the three platforms. Discord's also in there, but honestly, I don't think there's basically a 0% chance I would do Discord. But yeah, just group platforms like that where like there's a monthly, maybe the monthly membership or like a lifetime rate, and it's just like a bunch of other people with similar interests and similar problems. You can bounce ideas off of each other. I would be in there all the time answering questions. Truthfully, the reason that I would do that is because I hate typing, and I saw like with Circle, like you can kind of do like voice memos and stuff like that. So it's much easier for me to actually give a description of what to do and things, you know, like when those questions come up, if it's not like me typing like a novel as an example. So I'm just experimenting with those types of things. We haven't launched any of that yet. If you guys have any feedback, thoughts on it, please let me know. But, you know, look out for that in the future. If you're interested, that's definitely going to be coming down the pipeline at some point. But yeah, that video there kind of summarizes a little bit of that. Talked about the core video. I think that was like maybe the day we did the live stream with Derek. Kind of blends right into kind of where I want to go with some of these things that we're talking about here. So if we get rid of some of this stuff here, I'm going to start here. If you are a WordPress user and you give an ounce of a shit about like actual WordPress, where it's going, like if you've ever even complained about WordPress, I got this specific recommendation from Matt over the WP Minute, and I got to thank him because it's opened me to a whole new world. We talked about it extensively on that live stream that I showed you earlier, that we did yesterday as well on his channel. But if you care about WordPress whatsoever, you need to get in the Slack. Like it's actually, to me, it's kind of like non-negotiable in a way. I'm not saying you have to, but I mean, I do think that it's a really good idea. So if you go to this link, and I showed this on a different, I think a couple weeks ago or whatever, but it's but it's just a totally different thing now. So we're going to have a different conversation. But if you go to make.wordpress.org/chat, or if you just go to make.wordpress.org, there's a lot of stuff there too that you should look at. But if you go directly to the link I've just put in the chat there, then you're going to come to this page. It's going to ask you to log into your WordPress.org account, which you probably have if you've ever submitted like a plugin review support request or anything like that. You probably already have that. If you don't, just create an account. It's free. They're going to give you, they give you what looks to be a, almost like an employee or like a company address. It's going to be like, I think it's your username at make.wordpress.org or something, but that's what you log in with Slack with. So it's not like your actual email. It's something that they create there, which is fine. Like you're not going to need emails there or anything. They'll get forwarded to your main email anyway, but you log in and you have that account, and then you join the Slack. And I can show you some of the Slack because apparently this is like open to the public. Okay, anybody could join this, I guess, even if they didn't use WordPress. Would they know about it? No, because a lot of people that use WordPress don't even know about it. But anybody can join this. So it's kind of it's really kind of interesting, just to kind of see like kind of how the sausage is made, but also like a lot of other things. So I'm gonna assume that there's no problem with me kind of just showing you just a couple glimpses of this, because I think this would be very very helpful. So here you go. So if you get into the making WordPress workspace on Slack, okay, then there's a bunch of stuff here. Okay, I'm not going to go through all of it. This isn't a tutorial, although I really think that I've never seen a tutorial. I think there should be a tutorial on this. Maybe just depending on how we continue to move throughout this space, maybe we'll do something deeper. But I want to give I want to preface all of this. Okay, I actually want to go here real quick to preface all of this. We have to preface this because if anybody just sees this out of context, it's going to be bad. I want the best for WordPress. I build currently websites on WordPress. I'm building an agency on WordPress. I make a lot of content around WordPress. There's no reason that I would want WordPress to not, to go in a negative direction. I only want it to go in a positive direction. That being said, there's a lot of times where just when you're building a product or a project, which is another big thing that we'll talk about, like there is a lot of disagreements or just like, differing opinions on how the thing should move forward and like why it's moving in a certain way. And again, I want to say that I'm extremely new to this. I'm less than a year into like the community aspect of WordPress. Before that, I was just building with Elementor and stuff like that. I didn't even know what the hell was going on as far as like the WordPress stuff. I talked to guys like Matt over the WP Minute. They've been in it for like 15, 20 years. And, they've seen it all, and they've seen like, the highs, the lows, whatever, and just the whole evolution. And I'm just coming in here with a fresh perspective. And I feel like that's valuable, but I don't know if it's going to be effective. I have no idea. Does it seem effective so far? To a certain degree, but like, I don't know if like the reason that I was told or the idea that was pitched to me was if you go into the Slack group, then you can actually maybe make a little bit of a difference, have some opinion and give some contribution or something like that. I do agree with that. But from what I've seen so far, and I'm going to give you my honest opinions, just as again, super fresh to this, it's very interesting. And like, it's something that I've personally never seen before. And my past experience was just like at a kind of like a corporate-ish company. I've never worked for nonprofits. I've never worked for like on open source stuff. So maybe this is just like how it is. And I guess it always has to be how it is. I don't really like that ideology of things always having to be the way they are if they're not efficient. But that's neither here nor there. Let's just go back to it, and I'll explain like kind of everything that I've now experienced with this. And I do think that everybody should get in here because it's eye-opening. Good, bad, or indifferent, it's eye-opening. Okay, so from what I'm gathering, Slack and GitHub, and if there's anybody in here that knows more than me about this, please put it in the chat, because I'm happy to be told, hey, Mark, that's not exactly how this works. Okay, but from everything that I've gathered, hang on, friend, we're counting on you personally to get Gutenberg in a good spot. Yeah, I'll do my best, Brendan. That's the goal of this channel. But yeah, so hopefully this moves the needle like a 0.1%. That would be amazing if like just we flooded this, not like flooded in a bad way, but like we all got in here and we actually started making some noise. Here's Brendan brings up a great point there. Like part of the thing and the reason that I dove in here is because like I don't want to be the guy that like complains or whatever. It gives criticism on YouTube, which is a public platform and everybody should be watching. You would think that, but I don't want to be the guy that makes that and that, oh, Brian's got the popcorn out. Nice. But thanks for coming, guys. I really appreciate it. But I don't want to be the guy that makes like criticisms or complaints or whatever on YouTube and then gets the feedback that says, hey, why don't you go in the Slack group? Because they're not going to hear you on YouTube. I kind of disagree with that because I feel like everybody's dealing with a lot of different things. Everybody has like a bunch of different like, task lists and like and there's a whole apparatus of people that are being sponsored by companies to work on this project. And then there's other people, from what I understand, outside of that that are basically volunteering, which I am never going to criticize anybody for volunteering. But that being said, like this is such a big fucking project that I think everybody just wants to continue to move forward. And I'm just trying to comment on that as much as possible and kind of see kind of what's going on there. So the reason that I'm in specifically in this Slack group is because I didn't want to be that guy that, I wanted to see what was behind the curtain, honestly. I wanted to see what was going on. And I would really recommend everybody get in here because again, it's eye opening. So if you come in here, there's a bunch of different channels. I guess you can browse all the channels. I'm not in every single one. I'm just in the ones that I kind of felt were relevant to me, or like kind of the most, like, I guess maybe the most poppin' in a certain way. I don't know. But there's a ton, and I'm also not like super fluent on Slack. Okay, there we go. But okay, so announcements, core editor, marketing, outreach, and then Slack help. Now, announcements is just kind of like, a chill one there. Core is like, I think that's where like a lot of the heavy stuff goes down because it's actually core. I really want to talk about like marketing and outreach specifically in a way, just because like yesterday, the live stream that I did with Matt heavily revolved around like the marketing idea that there's going to be kind of very infantile. Like, I mean, this is the thing. I'm going to jump in here just to give you like kind of a quick thing. Again, I encourage you to go in here and do this. We're not going to read all this. I'm just trying to give you a vibe for what to expect and like the reason why I think it's so important for you to be in here. They are like, we're actually having conversations with people that could make decisions in a way. And if you just post a comment like I had in this conversation here, there's at least a chance, an iota of a chance, that you might be like heard in a way, and then that may influence a decision to a certain degree. But yeah. So, and then also Peter said, not being super fluent on Slack can be its own barrier to entry. See, like that's another thing is like, to me, I've used Slack, okay, but I haven't used it in like this level of conversation. I mean, there is a lot of shit going on here. I'm not even suggesting there's necessarily a better way. There's just a ton of people, as you can see up here. There's like 2,400 here. If you go into like the announcements channel or whatever, which I guess everyone's possibly a part of, there's like 47,000. I mean, that's outright. I mean, that's a lot of numbers. That's a lot of people, right? So if you're in the marketing channel, though, there was a post, and I could probably bring it up here. It's maybe right here, and then I'll share the screen in a second. But there's an idea of like making a WordPress media corps, and I'm going to probably do a bad job at like kind of explaining what this is. But I will put this link in the chat if you want to go directly to it and kind of see exactly what Josepha is kind of proposing here and everything like that. A lot of different thoughts. I think this conversation and this back and forth kind of debate over different ideas is 100% necessary. And I think that this is amazing that you do get a glimpse behind the curtain and you get be a part of like the process of kind of like voicing your opinions and everything like that, even if they do differ here and there. Brendan, I'm starting the journey into WP Core after many years building with WP. Thank you. Thanks in part to your content, Brian. I'm learning Pine growing a bit to teach myself and getting. Watch Brendan's content on bricks and everything else. But I think I saw you, Brendan, playing around with Pine Grow recently in that live stream test. Definitely go watch Brian and Brendan's content if you guys are here as well. They do a lot more development than me. I just love this. I love this news side of this and all this sort of stuff too. So I'm kind of blending the both. But like all that plays into, again, we all just want this thing to continue to move forward. And I'm just kind of disseminating kind of what I see here. And the conversation is definitely very good. There's a lot of differing opinions. Again, we talked about it with Matt yesterday. I talked about it on the live stream there, but I think the main things are just is word, like, are we trying to market are we trying to market WordPress specifically to a certain user base? What's the one thing I didn't understand with this link, if you go and look at it, is I'm not exactly sure what the specific goal we're trying to reach is, like what the problem is. I know that like maybe the marketing the marketing, like historically the marketing team and everything like that, like maybe there's been like some stuff there or whatever. Like it's just as far as I don't know, like just I have no idea. Like just some sort of like there's a reason for this, right? So in my opinion, in my mind, in the way that I see it, and I talked about this with Matt, like Shopify, all these other companies, like they're doing like actual marketing campaigns and pushes and things like that. Now, I understand WordPress is a different animal. It's more of a project rather than a product, but it's kind of in the middle actually, because like we have people being paid and sponsored to work on it. And at the same time, there's other people that aren't. So I just really feel like it's in this weird spot, like right in the middle. And as far as marketing that to people, the question is, and I think I've seen comments like where it's getting better, but I'm still not understanding even in reading these chats every single day. I like go through here and I look at the new messages and I'm like, okay, what are we seeing? Da 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 whatever. And I'm not really seeing still like actual conversations on who exactly is our audience, who exactly are we trying to reach with these moves like a media corp and things like that. Are we trying to just reach like bigger companies to get them to talk about WordPress? Are we trying to reach end users to get them to use WordPress? And there's nothing. The biggest thing that I see from, if we're actually talking traditional marketing perspective, there's nothing like sexy about WordPress. Like when you watch a Shopify ad or a Wix ad or whatever, they're not talking about like how to build websites. They're talking about what problems that is solving. They're talking about like how you're going to possibly make money from using that product. We're kind of past the point of implementation because everybody thinks it's actually crazy. Everybody thinks now that it's easy to build a website. And because it's easy to build a website, they don't really care that they're not paying you to build it because they already have this thought process that it's easy, which is maybe like half true, maybe like 5% true. I mean, like it's not like, but depending on what tool you're using and how much you care about best practices and stuff. But the real thing is they don't like it. They're selling the outcome. They're selling the results. They're selling like the dream in a way. And I just feel like that's part of something that we need to do here. Now, again, if the goal of this is to just update people on kind of like the updates that we made to WordPress in last week, like everything that happened, like all the either new features we made or just like the bugs that we patched or whatever, then again, I'm really a big proponent of, and I said it in here somewhere, of like basically a press conference, like a weekly press conference. Like, I don't know. I don't know how often like the White House has always traditionally done it or whatever, but have like a press secretary type thing, record a live stream. You could have other people on the live stream if you wanted to, like other outlets or whatever, asking questions, physically on the live stream. But then you could also have people in the chat asking Q&A. I just think that that's kind of like the big thing that would really, really help. And I don't know. Still though, I don't know who we're trying to attract, and I feel like that's kind of the big thing. And I know some of you guys might have a better insight on that than me, but I don't know. So, hey, speak of the devil, Matt, what's up? That's the biggest issue with marketing team for years now. A combo of volunteers and automatic sponsors, individuals with no marketing budget trying to move the ball forward up the hill. See, I 100% agree with that, and obviously you guys know more about that than me. From my perspective, it's dangerous. It's not dangerous. I don't want to use the wrong words, but it's definitely muddy in a way, like because you have people that are getting paid, you have people that aren't getting paid. And I'm not saying I know solutions right now, but I'm trying to work through it mentally in my mind. How do you bridge that gap between project and product? How do you do that? And like, is that where you're trying to go, or is that where you're not trying to go? Because I mean, again, in our conversations and just everything else, like it seems like that is the big issue. It seems like that is definitely to some degree causing some sort of like just like problem in like kind of who's calling the shots in a way, but just like I feel like I don't know what this was like 5-10 years ago. Sorry, I wasn't here, but I'm here now. And to me, this doesn't seem extremely transparent. Like it seems transparent here that we can read all this and we can see all this, but it's also like hard to digest. And when something's hard to digest, it's almost as bad as it not being said at all in a way, because now you're like, I would have to I have to literally sift through all this. Like I had to be in here. I don't know about you guys. I mean, maybe I'm just, maybe I just don't have a high reading comprehension, but I don't want to read all of this stuff. Like I would much rather see like, again, like a live stream where people could, the other thing too, we're getting a little meta here. But the other thing too is the reason I mean, you guys know me, I could talk for days, but like the reason I like even like watching and listening is because you pick up so much more on how people are actually processing things rather than just reading the shit. Like there's no emotion, there's no critical, like it's just, text is just a bad way just in general to like communicate. It obviously it's necessary, but I'm saying like I think in a lot of things like this, you don't get that same vibe. You don't get the full story in a way. You're missing a lot of it. And I just think that it's not possible 24/7. I get that, but there's got to be something. And if there is, please tell me, but I don't see it. I don't see like this weekly type of live stream where I don't that's not it's not like a hard thing to do. Like we do it all the time. Like it doesn't need to be, it doesn't need to be beautiful. It doesn't need to be brilliant. It doesn't need to be a fucking Hollywood production. It just needs to be somebody that wants to talk. I don't care. It doesn't even matter who it is, to be completely honest with you. Matt here, 80% project, 20% product. People want more product, but that's really difficult without automatic drawing a hard line in the sand. Yeah, I mean, me and you talked about it, man. Yeah, I know. I don't know the answer to that, but the one thing I would say to you though, Matt, and I know we talked about this, is I don't know if I agree with the 80-20% though. Like, because it seems it to me, like if you look at those numbers, like it almost seems like there's a lot of people. I don't know the numbers, and I have that thing. I actually found a maybe we can go over here real quick. I actually found a 2023 one. Let's go right here. Right there. So I actually found a year in core 2023, and I'll shoot this over to you here. There we go. So this is like super interesting. And again, I just feel like everything in WordPress, it's like, this is fantastic information. Where the fuck was this? Like, where was this shared? I know this was probably a little bit ago. So I'm just kind of making a joke there, but like, where was this? Like, I never saw this. This is just like on makewordpress.org. Every single time, if I can get onto like a list to get this information, I will share it up and down the mountain. Seriously, like this is amazing stuff here. I want to get more people. Like part of my thing is I want more people to see this stuff, right? And I don't know why, like, I didn't see it. Again, I'm not saying I'm scouring every corner of the internet for this, but like, this is amazing. Like, this is telling you everything about like who contributed to WordPress, the companies that contributed to WordPress, like, I mean, all this stuff. This is incredible information. And I just feel like this should be even, maybe people don't care about it. Me and Matt have talked about that. Maybe people don't care about it enough, but I do think that like, here's really where this breaks down for me. Okay. I don't care if you're an agency, if you're a freelancer, or if you're building a plugin on WordPress. To me, maybe this isn't everybody. You guys tell me. At some point, I need to give a shit about the foundation that my business is built on. And I need to care a little bit deeper than just like, is it moving forward or what is it? If I don't feel the structure and the trajectory of like the actual org is, I'm not saying this isn't, I'm just saying in general, like if you're not like tapped into that to some degree, if you're not in that Slack, checking it periodically, looking at these things every year, like if you're not in that, I don't feel like you're doing yourself, I feel like you're doing your business a disservice to some degree, because you're not actually understanding. Like there could be writing on the wall. Again, not saying there could be writing on the wall and you would not know it because you're not tapped in. That's where I'm really coming from with this. And I just, again, maybe I'm kind of like that. I like to get into the meta of some things, but I don't know. Some other things here. What we got? I actually had to scroll up in the comments. That's amazing. Thank you guys so much. Last point on that thing though, real quick with Matt there, the 80-20, the point that I was trying to wrap up there was, I don't know all the numbers. Again, I'm just looking at this 2023 one for the whole time, but from those other conversations we've had, like the question would be not just like, is there 200 automatic sponsored employees versus like 200 like individual contributors or whatever? Not just that, but this is in the weeds, like not just the number, but the multiplier of influence. And I feel like I don't, the vibe that I get, could be completely wrong, total hypothesis. The vibe that I get is that it's more than 20% product, mindset wise, especially with given, the things that we're kind of seeing as far as like the language that's being used, the like again, the embargo type thing. We could have we could have even longer discussion on that, but that's the way that I process it. But I could be wrong there because I don't know how all the details, but where I'm at right now, that's kind of where I'm at. Okay, what do we got here? maybe if there was a podcast about a WP and make it 60 minutes long and call it the WP minute. Just that's a great idea, Brendan and Matt. Maybe you want to run with that. Peter, 100% agree with the value of the actual conversation. I saw you in there, Peter, yesterday, man. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think that there is. I don't know who doesn't like live stream conversations. Again, I appreciate you guys being here. I just think that, again, you can kind of get a lot more details. You can get a lot more details out. The thing is on replay. It's also random thought. It's way easier to take a video and make it text than it is to take text and make it into a video. So I'm just saying, if we're trying to cover all the bases, it definitely easier to go one way rather than the other there. Brendan O'Connell for president, 100% agree with that. Hello, buddy. Hey, what's up, Numan? What are you doing? I'm just doing my thing here. Appreciate that. And then WP minute, I never saw this, is what they are trying to solve with the press corps. 100%. I'm 100% in with it. Again, we could talk about the details, like we chatted again on the live stream over in the WP minute yesterday. That's a really good idea, and I just don't. There was actually a post today, I think, like kind of like a wrap up post. I'm not sure. Was it Bernard maybe? I don't know. If I'm saying his name wrong, I apologize. I think that was who it was. But it was kind of like a wrap up of everything. And it was interesting to see that. But at the same time, I'm being completely honest. My vibe, though, is like, we do not need to over engineer this for version 1. Like, it is. I'm gonna use the word so bad right now. It's not terrible, but it's at a point right now where we're having these conversations, right? Like, we're having these conversations about, and it's not just like one person. It's just we're all having similar concerns, different ways, and different builders that we use, or different like areas that we talk about, and different levels of experience and expertise and everything. But we're all having the same like. Is that how we want this to go? Should we do this? Should we do that? Whatever. And then I don't think we need to over engineer a weekly live stream talking about WordPress. Like, if that was what they would want to do, we could absolutely layer in potentially some access or something if they wanted to. Again, we can have a discussion on whether that's right or wrong. But if our goal is to just educate more people and have a centralized place for it, I really think that we could. I think. This is off the wall, okay? But here's my thing. I think that I understand that there's a lot of people, there's a lot of voices, open source, you have to hear everybody, and you have to do that. 100% get that. Here's the thing, though. In my mind, if you have that situation, if those are the cards you are dealt, so to speak, and that's the project, like the way the project is structured, and just maybe open source in general. Is it really honestly, the Gutenberg project seems like kind of like a great example. They bit off a fuck ton. They bit off a lot to chew, right? And I think it's gonna be great. And I think the idea is great. But if we say that we're taking a simple task here, like for version 1, and I feel like we're kind of trying to play it out version 5. And I am absolutely somebody that has done this in the past, like 100%. Like, I'm not trying to throw stones at a glass, when I live in a glass house here with trying to be almost perfect out of the gate. I just feel like, again, if they gave me a list of shit, or Matt a list of shit, and just said, like, somebody gathered it up and we just ran it off every week. I mean, that's all you would need. And then just have WordPress.org like say, hey, you want the news? Go right here. Like, it is. I don't want them to overcomplicate it, is what I'm trying to say. We don't need to get crazy with fucking embargoes and access and all that stuff right out of the gate. Let's just make one centralized place where all this is, and tell people where it is. And honestly, here's what you do. You have other people, because this happens all the time. I've talked about this constantly, is people connect with people more than they connect with like the big brand. Here's what WordPress needs to do. Like, again, minimum viable product for this. Make a place. I think it should be on their network. It shouldn't be on a random like bloggers network. It shouldn't be on like our networks or anything like that. It should be on WordPress.com or I'm sorry, WordPress.org or wherever, somewhere actual, like legit, like a place where like if I want to know WordPress.org news, where would I go? I'd probably go to WordPress.org. Normal people would think that, right? So you go there, and obviously other people can still talk about, but the centralized place is there. And then they say, hey, Mark, XYZ, whatever, go tell people to go there. Like you can share the news, but say like, if you want the actual, source of truth, I don't want to steal that term, but if you want to go there, then go to this place and give them the link. Tell them exactly that's where it's at. Like that's where you can get your information. That's where it's at. The trouble is, again, maybe there's a lot of contributors and stuff like that. You do have to, I'm sure there's a lot more of that in there that you have to kind of go through, but I just don't want the actual functionality of this to be that overblown from the get-go. Because I think that if we do that, we're going to go another year without having it. And if we just had it, then that would be way better than not having it. It's thought there. Okay. I never saw this. I never saw this about a post published on the core blog about the project. Yeah, I don't read this too often, I guess. So yeah, maybe I should subscribe. Jacob O'Donnell, what's up, brother? Thank you so much for joining the stream. A lot of WordPress platforms heavily advertise to aspiring web designers and have straightforward learning process. Trying to figure out where to start with WordPress as a project itself. 100%. I think it's a pro and a con, obviously. It's got positives and negatives. Positives being that it's so robust and you could do a lot of different things. Negatives being that the learning curve is pretty steep. They're doing a little bit of that, as I pointed that out in that chat. Like if you go to YouTube and you go to WordPress.org and you look at the videos there, they're all like videos that are kind of they're not weird, but they're like not what I would expect like marketing WordPress videos to be. Like they're like talking about coding custom post types and things, which is important. But I think that if you want to attract people to use the platform, I'm not necessarily sure if that belongs right there in that realm. It's you got to learn to simplify it somehow, but unfortunately it's the state of it. And there's ways to do that wrong. Like there's definitely ways to do it wrong there's ways to do it wrong if you aren't like delicate or sophisticated in the way that you kind of start to teach people in a way. Like there's like what I mean is ways to do it wrong we could definitely make it simpler and we could really reduce the amount of options that people have. And I don't know if that's necessarily the right way to go, because again, that's one of the pros. You'd be taking away one of the big pros of WordPress if you did that. So not 100% sure. Brian, I disagree that there's no transparency. There's dozens of conversations happening publicly. You have to curate what's important to you and start there. Yeah, I mean, fair disagreement there. I don't disagree with your disagreement. I mean, I agree with some of that, Brian, but I would just say that I think your last point there, you have to curate what's important to you and start there, is kind of part of the issue. I mean, if like again, I know this is a project, I guess, and not a product, but good products tell you what they want to tell you. And I'm not saying that like WordPress should necessarily do that, but I think there should be in the back of their mind is it's like, again, I'm still confused on the goal. It's like, do we want more people to use the platform? Well, I feel like we have to have some iota of a product marketing mindset then. You can tell me if I'm wrong there, but I'm saying like that is where I feel like there's a little bit of disconnect, at least again from my angle so far. But again, you guys might know more than me. So, but yeah, I agree with you. You have to curate the stuff that you want. You have to get in the right channels. You have to talk to the right people and everything like that. There's still going to be a huge hell of a lot of that. Which is why I'm excited for the marketing, the marketing corp, the media corp and everything like that, because I do think it'll do some of that. I'm confused why it didn't happen sooner, because it seems like this has been an ongoing problem. And I'm skeptical, but hopeful that it will get to a minimum viable product sooner rather than later. And if there's any way that I can help with that, I would love to. Okay, what do we got here? Brendan, it seems many cases of biggest strengths being its biggest weakness. A big and fractured ecosystem makes cohesive marketing difficult. Yeah, I mean, again, we may be talking about problems that aren't necessarily, they're definitely not easy problems to solve. We may be talking about problems that aren't even possible to solve per se, or they take a lot more than we currently have as far as manpower and contributors and all sorts of stuff like that. And again, the thing that comes back to me is I love the fact that there's so many people that are contributing to this platform that are like volunteering. But I mean, at the same time, I don't know how this plays in open source. Obviously, it's playing into some degree, but I mean, money is an incentive as well. So, like, you have you have sponsored people, you have volunteers. How does that kind of like go back and forth? How can we incentivize more people to do it? I know there's the five for what's it called, the five for change, five for future. I know that's a thing that, like, again, I don't know if this counts. I don't know if talking about the stuff and putting out content counts, but I'm up for it. I know a lot of other people are doing great stuff. Hopefully bigger companies as well kind of do that. But again, there's kind of like a juxtaposition there, because do you want like a Google or a GoDaddy or whoever to kind of come in there and do that? We chatted about that yesterday as well on WP Minutes. So I don't know. There's a lot of different variables. We're not talking about anything that is simple here. If we were talking about things that were simple, then we probably wouldn't be talking about it anymore because it'd be fixed. Agree, Brennan. Also, more transparency also means now we need a formal discussion here, a ticket here, request their feedback. You can slow things down. I agree with that. Love you too, Ruben. Appreciate you, buddy. I agree with that there as well. Brian, it can slow things down. I mean, again, I hear that argument all the time where there's like we don't have process. We're moving real fast. And then we want process and we're going to move real slow. And it's like, I don't feel like we're moving very fast. and I don't know if we have a lot of I need that painted a better picture for me. Cause like, I don't know if that's exactly, it's not fully computing for me. Like, as far as the way that is actually playing out in reality, as far as, do we have a high level of process right now? If so, do you think we're moving slow? If we don't have a high level of process right now, do you think we're moving fast? And again, I'm not a developer. Like, I'm not contributing lines of code to this. I know that is a mammoth of a project. I know there's like several pieces of that. Obviously, you got to do like different unit tests, all sorts of other stuff that I'm not qualified to specifically talk on there. And I'm not criticizing the speed either. I'm just saying, like, that is a very that yin and yang of like, if this then that, or like, if we have more process, then it would be slower. Yeah, but it's definitely a fine line. I mean, there's definitely a fine line balance there. Brennan, definitely Brian, which is his own double-edged sword, of course. Also, transparency overall is one of those things no one cares about until it's gone, and suddenly it's daily Friday. Yeah, I mean, again, I'm mostly in agreement with everything you guys are saying here. I mean, again, we have different opinions on kind of what to do it, but I mean, I think the big thing though for me, and maybe again this is a learning thing, is who is actually all these conversations. Here's a big piece of transparency that I would love to know, and I've gotten glimpses of it and like little nuggets of information on it. But here's what I want to know. We're having this conversation, and again, I appreciate you guys so much for being here and contributing to this. We're having this conversation, and we all have the same goal. Like, we want it to continue to move forward, just WordPress in general, as like a super high level goal. Who do we actually need to talk to specifically to actually talk about these things? I mean, again, the Slack group is fantastic. Is there anybody that can actually make these decisions? Is it all Matt Mullenweg? Is Josepha somebody that we can have a conversation with? Could we all get on a live stream with somebody and just voice our opinions, have other people talk? Is that something anybody even wants? When I mean anybody, I think we would probably want that, but is that something they would want? That's the type of questions that I feel like we could potentially be having these live streams, talk about this stuff all the time, and never get anywhere if what I just said is untrue. Like, if what I just said is they don't want that to happen, like the thing that I am struggling with a little bit is the level of, there's this idea of setting goals and like what your mission is and all that. But then there's this other concept of just like human behavior, organizations, bureaucracy, and all that sort of stuff, and like control. Ultimately, I have not delved into that yet. I have not been privy to it. I don't know where that's at, but I know that exists in human nature. I don't know to what extent in anything that we're doing here, but it's definitely a real thing, and it plays in. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying it's a variable, and I think that's another thing that kind of like plays into it, where it's like, well, how do we like, how do we balance that? How do we communicate with that? How do we, move forward with all those types of things being involved? So it's just another thing that I feel like is kind of interesting there. What were we at on the chat here? So many chats, guys. I appreciate this. Jacob. Okay. A lot of non-WordPress platforms growth is being spearheaded by designers pushing whatever platform they found easiest to learn on their clients and often shit talking WordPress in the process. 100%. I need a swig of water here. 100% there, Jacob. Appreciate that. I've seen that countless times. I've seen that countless times with like Webflow people. The biggest one I've seen actually with it is like Show It people, which is actually funny because I think that's kind of forked a little bit or somewhat from WordPress. But yeah, it's like designers, they do graphic design or whatever, and then and this is generalization, but they do that, and then they want to go to like web design, or they get people, hey, can you build websites? Like, yeah, sure. And then they build with easy to design things. I'm capitalist by nature. I mean, I want competition. I want there to be other thing. I want the market to kind of decide. Unfortunately, sometimes you can just be louder and people will think you're better. And I think that is one of the things where like you could be the best product, but if you don't tell people about how good you are, you're basically fucked. And I think that is something a little bit which I hope we're trying to solve with all these things. I hope that is one of the realizations that we all have, especially the people in power, because that is legit. Like that's real. Like if you could have WordPress could be absolutely brilliant, which obviously we all think it is. It could be the perfect tool for everyone. Gutenberg could be the perfect tool in whenever for everyone. And if we don't tell people about that, if they don't tell people about that and we don't reinforce that to people, still going to lose. We're still going to lose. Even though it's like open source and it's fantastic and we love so much about it, we'll still continue to lose. Like it will definitely happen. Like Apple's quick aside, like I don't use Apple products. I know they're good, but their marketing is fucking fantastic. Like, I mean, that's the thing is like, it could actually, a phone could come out tomorrow, be objectively better than the iPhone. You could objectively build a better ecosystem than the iPhone. And if you don't match that marketing, you're still not going to win. So really good insight there, Jacob. I appreciate you. Oversimplification, not no one. Not 100% sure where that came from. Maybe that was I don't know. Remind me, Brendan. Ruben, my boy. WordPress was just a CMS, a tool. Now it's becoming a builder to simplify the learning experience. The next Wix Squarespace. Yeah, I mean, that's another big conversation in and of itself. If WordPress, there's not a right or wrong answer to this, but here's the hot take is that WordPress is probably one of the best CMSs like I've ever seen. I haven't used nearly all of them, right? But every time I worked in one of those other tools, like it's very good. It has downfalls. Like why can't we duplicate like pages and shit or whatever? But aside from that, that is a little bit of an interesting pivot. I feel like that was made. Again, I don't know the whole story. You guys can tell me, but why didn't we triple down on the CMS and then also kind of like, I mean, how much of the CMS portion, I know everyone, myself included, hears so much about Gutenberg and the Gutenberg features and like the core, like that, the builder part, right? I know there's a lot more than that going on. I 100% know that. There's a ton more contributors. There's a ton of stuff going on behind the scenes because WordPress is more than just the Gutenberg builder, right? And the block editor. But we don't hear about it as much anymore. Maybe just because the block editor is the new thing and the cool thing on the street right now. But the thing to me is that the CMS is so golden and it's the thing that kind of runs everything. I don't want to incorrectly attribute this. Brian, I think you're still in here, man. I think I just saw, like, are you going to post the pages versus post thing? Like that type of stuff should we treat pages differently than the post, vice versa? Like that type of stuff is still extremely important because you have people using WordPress that are using it. It's so funny. I talk to people all the time. I'm like, isn't that for blogs? Like, aren't you only supposed to put blogs on WordPress? And I'm like, well, yeah, back in the day. And now there's like so much more that you can do. And you're like Ruben's saying here, like it was a CMS. It was a tool for that. Now it's becoming something that's different. I don't actually necessarily disagree with that. I feel like there might have been other options. We would never know if it would have been better to kind of like layer it in a little differently. But I don't think it's a bad thing. I'm happy to like compete in a way with with WordPress, Wix, Squarespace, or with Wix and Squarespace and all that. But like, I don't know. I just think that it is extremely, I said it earlier, it is extremely ambitious. I am extremely hopeful, but I also I still think if we're not giving, our thoughts on these types of things and trying to, help push it forward in a way, the way that we see fit. I'm going to tell you this again, hot take. I'm going crazy with hot takes today. Like, there's definitely a difference. I know a lot of the contributors are like in the field. I don't know the full spread, but here's a hypothesis. I'm going to say that some of the people, at least, are not like building websites all the time. They're not dealing with clients all the time. They're building the platform. This is why I think all of us here and everybody that's doing this stuff is so valuable, because we are giving opinions based on right now, like doing this stuff right now for clients, doing this stuff. I think there's you guys got to go to this. I think there's a hallway hangout next, I don't know when it is. I think it's next Wednesday. Somebody let me know. I think it's a hallway hangout. I think it's at 12 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday, the 27th. Go get in the Slack, go in there and look at it. Cause I think the title of it is something like using block editor for client sites, if I'm not mixing that up. That is the type of shit where, like, if you use that block editor right now and you love it, like, you have to be in there. I think Brian's excited for that. I think he's got some stuff going on there. Like, you have to be in there. You have to give them your struggles. If you don't tell them your struggles, then they're not going to know. Like, they're building the thing based off of hopefully feedback and everything like that and the vision, but they need the feedback. And that is the beauty of our plugin, or not our plugin, but our platform in general and the Slack in general. Because if we didn't have that, and if we didn't have these direct channels, that is the biggest pro to this whole thing. You could kind of give your feedback to Google and Apple. Do you think they're going to give a shit? Probably not, unless there's like, 2 million people that have the same issue, right? So there's a lot of good stuff here. I just, again, that's why we're talking, is we just want to keep seeing it trend forward and not get overtaken by some other shit that we don't like. Peter, I'm actually considered creating a curated view into Make, not a small task, to say the least. Yeah, honestly, that is. I was thinking about that as well. I'm assuming what you're saying there, Peter, is kind of like an in-depth analysis, or like kind of like how to get in there and everything like that, or just like all sorts of different stuff. I mean, again, beauty is there's so much shit going on. The struggle is there's so much shit going on. Like, there's stuff everywhere. There's different like blogs and everything like that. A lot of stuff is kind of like boiled down to make.wordpress.org, but then there's also like WordPress TV that I'm seeing and all sorts of stuff. There's a lot of stuff. I just think that, again, maybe that's the nature of open source. Maybe I am hypothesizing or proposing something, when I say like we should try to organize it a little bit more and all that sort of stuff. Maybe that's just not possible. I don't like that mindset, but maybe I'm wrong. I've definitely been wrong before. Let's see. Josefa explains her ambition to reach a 51% market share. That's yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting. I mean, if we're talking WordPress specifically, again, I want to see our number go up. I don't want to see it go down. Brian, stepping out now, but fascinating to watch Mark go through the same process we all go through when we peak. Appreciate it, Brian. Thank you so much, man. Thank you for stopping by. Yeah, I mean, that's what I've gotten. I don't know. Maybe I'm just too young and optimistic right now, and I'm just too new to it, too fresh. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just too hopeful that we can continue to change things and move things. But I go back there. I go back into that Slack, and I'm just like obnoxiously kind of like overwhelmed by seeing all of that. And I don't mean like all the messages. I just mean like I feel like there needs to be some sort of something that I'm not seeing. Maybe I haven't found it yet. As far as like kind of filtering, disseminating that a little bit more than just the channels, kind of like having like an org chart of who we need to talk to for certain things. Again, maybe the media corps hopefully does that as well, where we talk about like, I don't know, like if you have a question with this, let's go to this person. I know there's teams. Maybe there is a drop in a link in the chat if you see some, or just send me. I don't know if you can drop a link in the chat, but like where do I go on makewordpress.org to see a full list of all the teams and everybody like in that, or at least the people that are being paid? Because then I want to know like who I can talk to for certain issues and things like that, or who's like the leader of this thing versus this thing. Who's making the decisions, or is it all completely democratic and there is no decision maker whatsoever? You know, like, I don't know. I feel like it's interesting. Peter here, one thing that you will be amazed about is how few people are regularly active in some sort of make teams. Yeah, I like that's the other thing too, is I do see a good bit of stuff kind of going on. And there's always, like, you know, comments in different channels and everything like that. But I mean, at the same time, there was 47,000 people, I think, in the actual workspace, at least in the announcements one. And there's only like 2,000 just in that channel of marketing and everything. And then I'm not sure how many are in core. I could look on my end. I know you guys can't see this. So there's 45,000 in core, but I'm sure that was one of like the new, you know, the newer ones, right? So, you know, I hope there continues to be more engagement and things like that. And I don't know. It's just that, but that again, that's kind of like, I think that's one of like the, not blessings and curses type thing, but it's another one of those things where, okay, we have a lot of people in this community, but not a lot of people are like maybe active all the time in certain things. And then what does that ultimately end up being? That ends up being like less people making the decisions. And it's just like that core group of, not core, not to use the same word, but you know what I mean? Like, it's the same group of people. I don't know. I'm just saying shit. You know, I'm just giving you my raw thoughts here. I appreciate you guys humoring me. Of course, there's no budget for market open source WordPress, as there's no way to present WordPress. Yeah, I mean, again, I'm definitely empathetic to the fact that this isn't like a full product and there isn't anything like that. I'm still somewhat confused, bewildered by how all the other companies play into this and they sponsor people like Automatic, obviously, like Matt Mullenweg, you know, owns these different, you know, pieces of this apparatus, and then that is WordPress. Maybe we'll do a whole breakdown of all that or something. I don't know. But like Automatic owning that, sponsoring people to work on WordPress. Yeah, I get there's no marketing budget, but I'm not saying we throw Super Bowl ads up. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't know. We'll still have to think about it. Jacob, is there any kind of UX design process happening behind the scenes? Are people building out Figma prototypes before actually developing new features, or just developers just design as they go? That's a great question, and I don't know the answer to it. I would love to know the answer to it. I can look in the back here, but I'm just going to go out on a limb and say there's got to be some sort of design going on, and you guys can tell me if you've been in this and you're in more channels. I know you guys can't see this. I will look at the channels real quick. There is a design one. I will join it right now. I'm assuming that, and that's cool. That's really cool. You can just snap up. I'm in the design team now. I guess I'm not a part of it, but I'm in the Slack channel. I can kind of peek in. Yeah, there's definitely Figma. It does look like they're talking about Figma docs and things like that. So there's definitely stuff. There's definitely UX, and I think that is actually, to be completely honest with you, Jacob, that's a great point. Is that I think most of the problem that people have, most of the critiques, just because it's visual, are with UX and the design portion of it. Like, if anybody ever has an issue, that's probably the first thing you're going to see, because you're going to look at it and be like, wow, this is unintuitive, whatever. And I think this is actually probably, I'm not sure why I wasn't in this one before. This one's got 4,600 people. Looks like it, if I'm reading that right. That's definitely somewhere. That's definitely one that I would join. If I was you guys, I would definitely hop into, to make WordPress and join the design one as well. Yeah, I'm going to be looking at this one. The trouble is, like, I haven't used it enough. I've watched videos, but I haven't used it enough, because I've seen people use it. I'm like, I can kind of feel it. That's like, this is a little weird still. So, but that's a great time to jump in there and be like, hey, yeah, this is, why are we doing it this way? Any thoughts? Or like, just see, maybe, hopefully these people actually say why they do it that way too. I know they're fantastically talented. So I think, you know, Figma and all that sort of stuff. Like, I'm seeing even videos in here, probably demos. Yeah, I would highly recommend doing that. Highly, highly recommend it. Fantastic idea, Jacob. Thank you, brother. Brendan, I'm not involved, but I have seen Figma prototypes sharing the back threads. Yeah, 100%. Matt, for the default 2024 theme, they were building everything in Figma in public. Fantastic. Love that. I think that is something, again, huge proponent of that. Build in public, do it as much as you can. Show as much as you can off. hopefully, again, like I said, hopefully there is uh, welcomed criticism, constructive, not negative, constructive. The one thing that I would be interested in, again, I just joined this design channel, so forgive me, but you guys probably know more than me, is there any focus groups? Is there any like real life reality focus groups going on? Like, okay, hey, we just built out the 2024 theme. That's a little different, obviously, than the UI that everybody uses, but we just built out the 2024 theme. Here's how we did it. Here's the Figma docs and everything like that. Here you guys go look at this. I'm sure they post it like that. I guess you have to be in there. And maybe just being in there kind of lends itself to this. But my thing is, again, like, I'm just trying to think of think differently, right? Apple or whatever, think whatever they say back in the day. If what's it? Maybe it's Mac. Anyway, if you're in the back end of that, or if you're kind of like a WordPress user, if you're somebody that has any level of power at a WordPress project like this, wouldn't you? To me, if you found people on the internet, YouTube, let's say, that were at all critical or had any thought process whatsoever about like the tool, and they used that tool, wouldn't I'm curious if like anybody much bigger than me, okay? I'm new and I'm small. I'm curious if anybody has ever reached out to those individuals, like bigger YouTubers that use these different things and are potentially actively critical of it. Have they ever reached out? Has the core people or the people that are actually contributing and doing this stuff, have they ever reached out and said, hey, we know you're critical about this. We know that you have thoughts. We know that you have your own opinions on this. Please, I will give you, in this case, obviously it's a free license, right? But I'll give you a free look at this, the beta or whatever, check it out and go do it. I understand they probably do that in the Slack group. I'm just saying that, like, if you kind of go beyond that, I feel like as well, I think you're going to get, you don't have to implement the shit that they say, but again, it's like, I feel like this is like a real good product market research experiment or like methodology there. Go to the people that say that they hate your product or they would never use it because it's whatever. And then if they are willing to look at it, maybe you can incentivize them. I know there's no like budget per se and stuff like that, but I'm saying, like, if I was running a product, maybe it's different than project, I would say, hey, go look at this. Tell me what your thoughts are. Tell me why you don't like it from your perspective. And then you have that perspective. It doesn't mean you have to use it. It doesn't mean that you have to like necessarily change a bunch of shit to appease that person, but you would at least have the perspective. And now you know, okay, this person isn't just being an asshole. This person has a different worldview, a different workflow, whatever. Maybe the product isn't for them, but now you know more. You have more information. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay. Matt says that does happen. Okay. Love that. I think it should continue to happen because I feel like there's a lot of opportunity there just to continue to get different perspectives. And again, that's kind of what I'm trying to provide, guys. You know me, young, fresh, optimistic, not jaded just yet. See, it's coming fast though. I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I think I'm super ecstatic about kind of where we're headed there with all this. I'm happy to be in the Slack. I think every single one of you guys, obviously, most of you guys are obviously in here. If this counter is right and we actually have 25 people watching this stream, thank you guys so much. I think that's a new record for me. I really appreciate it. Brennan, hell yeah, just joined. There's multi-site Slack in there too. People of culture. Yeah. Multi-site. That's awesome. Peter, there are certainly some individuals who are much more engaged than others. 100%. Yeah. So yeah, I think, again, just to echo it, because I want to make sure that this is the call to action for this stream is definitely go in there. I know a lot of us are probably in the Slack already, but go in there if you're not already. Go to the channels join all of them or join the ones that like at least you think. Again, I think core editor, design, outreach, marketing. If you're more on like the content creation side or like, you know, you kind of like that side of it more. If you're just trying to code and maybe contribute like that, definitely get into the ones that are more specific to that. I'm not an expert on this. Go to make.wordpress.org and check everything out and see all that. But yeah, if you're ever going to criticize or provide any feedback, make sure that it is constructive in nature. I try to do that best as possible. Hopefully people think that that I'm being fair a lot of times and just kind of giving my ideas. And if you ever, don't be afraid to tell people if you think that they're, if you disagree with them, do that. Everything that I'm seeing so far has been very healthy. That's the one thing also that I could say is there hasn't been any, maybe like one or two comments that are just like they're not even like mean. They're just like quick and like, hey, this is awful or something like that. I would do my best to not get offended from things like that, because sometimes people are just like quick to respond and they don't like know, like they're not like sometimes socially aware enough to understand, like, yeah, maybe you should just kind of chill a little bit more. You can be passionate. I think that's great. I think that I love the debate. I love the conversations we're having with all the different live streams, everyone going. I'm fresh to this scene. I've been watching content for a long time, but I really love the open debate. I think it's fantastic. I think it's only beneficial as long as it's in good spirit and things like that. I'm really loving it. Happy to chat with anybody that has other opinions as well there. But I'm gonna keep doing this because this is, from personal standpoint, this is the things that I love to do. I love to really get deep into the meta stuff here of why we're doing things, how we're doing things. If there's any way, again, I can kind of contribute. I think that I don't think that things like this should be overlooked. I think that we should always try to continue to make content, because it's any WordPress content generally is moving the ship forward. But obviously there's better ways to continue to contribute as well. And I think the Slack is definitely a huge opportunity there. So I want to thank Matt, if you're still in here, man, for telling me to go in there. And I want to say that I think that we've started a little bit of a trend here of people diving in there. I know that people are we just got to talk about it more. We got to get more people in there. We're going to get more people seeing what's going on, contributing to the conversation at minimum. And I think that is a good way. Hopefully we continue to see what the fun title of this video, the bureaucratic apparatus, gives in return. Hopefully it's all, it's definitely not an us against them thing or anything like that, but it is just kind of like understanding what's going on and then working together and communicating to just get a better product for everybody. Project, kill me. But yeah, so yeah, I'm loving it. If there's any other questions, I'm free to answer them, but I think we're probably going to wrap it up here, guys. Listen, I really appreciate every single one of you. All you guys that commented, all you guys that watch this. This is definitely what I love to do here. I just really appreciate it. I can't tell you how much I love the support. I think this is an all-time high for me on the number of concurrent viewers. So thank you. I really appreciate it. Anything else though, guys, let me know. Hit me up offline there. More content coming soon. And rest assured, we'll be talking more about WordPress stuff as I continue to dive through it. Yeah, that's all I got, guys. I appreciate you. Every single one of you. Thank you so much.